Welcome, students. As I said to you in class this morning, I'm re-recording this session, which is basically an introduction on how to conduct your first assignment or your only assignment, assignment 1. Firstly, I want to just show you where you will be able to find it on Canvas. There are two options. If you go onto the homepage of MMH12, which is the introduction to marketing, the code for this module, and you scroll down, you'll find your model schedule. Last week was week 1. So if you click on week 1, it says assignments. These are the quick links. So assignments, if you click on assignment, it will take you to your assignment page, which is assignment 1. It gives you a breakdown of what the assignment is about, what's expected of you, some general instructions, and some guidelines. Importantly here is, I have indicated to you that the assignment is marked or separated in the part A and the part B. Although there initially were 2 dates for submission for part A and B respectively, based on previous experience with Canvas, we've decided to just have 1 submission date. So you can complete your assignment, part A and part B, separately. Just save it in one Word document, not separate documents, only one document named part A and part B, and submit it for us on or before the 21st of May. The assignments, although they are exactly the same, I have loaded separate Higher Certificate in Business Accounts Administration, HCB, and Higher Certificate in Business Management, HCM. It's exactly the same assignment, but just for the sake of ensuring that the right title is on the assignment page, I have loaded them separately. If we go through the guidelines, it's quite simple and straightforward. Do not be too concerned about the minimum of 1,000 to 1,500 words. The reason why I've done this is purely to indicate to you that I don't want 1-sentence answers to questions. There has to be, and it's required from some of the questions that we'll attend to just now individually, that there is some explanation and some application to a particular case study to indicate that you understand the concept. So I'm not going to count the words, but it's basically a guideline to say, don't hand in a 1-pager to me and expect to get good marks. As I said in class today, use your assignment, because you only have this 1 assignment for this module, to bump up your marks, to improve your marks, because all the information that you need to answer the questions you can either find in a textbook or find in a resource on the internet or in an additional textbook. There's no time limit on it, apart from the fact that it has to be submitted by the 21st of May. But this is where this offers you an opportunity to not work under pressure, but just provide me with the correct answers or the most sufficient answers for each of the questions. Right. Another way that you can actually obtain access to these assignments, if I go back to the home page, if you go onto the homepage of MMH12 and you go straight to assignments, you don't go onto the module page, you'll see there assignment 2, Applied Knowledge of Business Marketing Practicals. If you click on that, it will take you to exactly the same page that I've just discussed with you. It's just 2 different ways of getting to your assignment. The quick links one is obviously the easiest one because it is in each week of the specific activity. I'm going to now upload the assignment itself and onto the screen, and we can discuss question by question. Right, the assignment itself as uploaded onto Canvas. You'll see the submission date. I can confirm again as I circle with my cursor on as the 21st of May 2021. If you're going to have any problems, do not postpone those problems until the 20th of May and then in a state of panic and anxiety approach me. I do know life happens, so unfortunately there might be cases. Just make sure that you provide us with sufficient proof. If there's any medical condition that prohibited you from submitting on that date, and that's why I've recommended previously that you rather do it in smaller batches, save it as a Word document, then we know at least that you have stayed up to date with the assignment. If anything happens, and based on how my year has been so far, anything can happen, I know that. And it's usually when you least expect it. So let's not get ahead of ourselves and be devil's advocate, but just to ensure that we are prepared, make sure that you do your work as we progress through the course, as I said this morning in class. And I'm going to now indicate to you by going through the questions themselves, one by one, when you will be able to complete which questions. Right. If we scroll down, there are some general instructions that you have to follow. For me, most importantly about this specifically is the referencing, to ensure that you reference properly. In other words, if you are going to use a specific resource, it can be your textbook, it could be an additional textbook, it could be a book that you found in the library, it could be an internet resource, it could be anything. Regardless of where you got the information to answer the question, make sure, because it's not your own work, that you reference it properly. You state whoever or whichever resource you got the information from. That's in the text itself. If you answer a question and you refer to a specific, or you use a specific statement, refer to the resource in the text itself. Then additionally, in your bibliography or your list of references, refer to that same or include that same resource. I found one of the most common mistakes that's often made by students is that they either include it in the text but they don't include it in the bibliography, or it's in the bibliography but it was never ever in the text used or indicated that it was used. So make sure that it's done in text as well as in the bibliography. When we drop down to the last page of this assignment, you'll see when we get to the 10 marks that you'll get for spelling and grammar and your layout of the assignment itself, as well as your referencing, that there are clear indicators as to what you have to do to ensure that you get the maximum marks for your all over structure and appearance of the assignment, as well as your referencing. Furthermore, the submission is done through Turnitin, which is the option that is available to you on your assignment page. It's to ensure that a similarity report is conducted to ensure that the references that you use do not exceed 30%. That's the benchmark that we use. Anything less than 30%, you're fine. Anything more than 30%, you might get an email from me to say, you know what, maybe look at it again. Maybe you can just change your references that you've used. Right, let's get to the assignment itself. Part A specifically deals with the company that's very familiar to you, and that is McDonald's. For question 1, which you will definitely be able to do once we've completed this week's lectures in chapter 2, is that you have to name and explain the major internal factors and forces that can affect the efficient functioning of a business like McDonald's. Remember, I said this morning in class, the internal factors are those factors that you can actually control, and those are the factors that you have to adjust according to what your external forces indicate, where your challenges and threats lie. Again, like we discussed in class this morning, 3 times 3 means name it, that's 1 mark, explain it, that's another mark, and apply it to McDonald's, and you'll get your third mark. Right. List and explain, question 1.2. List and explain the external environmental factors. Quite simple. We did the pest analysis, or we started with the pest analysis morning in class. We'll continue and complete it this week. You will be conducting a pest analysis, and you will include for us at least the political, economical, social factors and forces that impact on the business, in this case McDonald's. 4 times 3 again refer to the fact that you're going to name it, you're going to explain it, you're going to name 4, you're going to explain 4, and you're going to apply, and that's for the third mark. That's why it's 4 times 3. Always use your mark allocation as a guideline as to how much information and what information specifically is required. When it says explain and describe, it means give us more than just the concept itself. If it says name or list, it means just name it. The 5 steps in the consumer decision-making process. It's a question later in this assignment. Name them. Question. Step 1, this. Step 2, this. Step 3, this. Step 4, this. Step 5, purchase evaluation. That's the 5 steps. You just name them. You don't explain them unless it's specifically structured in the question. Question 1.3, explain the components of the marketing mix. The marketing mix, basically, people, 4 times 3 refers to, let me just get a bracket in there and make a change to that particular document. 4 times 3 means you are going to include the 4 P's of marketing for me. It's simple. As I said to you this morning, it's not a tough assignment. Question 2. Regardless of their motivation, there are clear steps that the consumer take in their buying decision. List and explain these steps. That's why it's 5 times 2. List and explain. Name the 5 steps. Explain each of the 5 steps, what they mean. And you're going to get your 2 marks by doing the illustration of the 5 steps. We'll do that in chapter 3. Question 2.2 is also related to chapter 3. Choose which of McDonald's product, any McDonald's product that you're interested in, and then go through these 5 steps of identifying the problem, evaluating your, gathering information about your alternatives, evaluating the alternatives, making the purchase, and your post-purchase evaluation. Those basically are the 5 steps. We'll do that in chapter 3. You need to apply those to a specific McDonald's product that you have chosen. Simple as that. 50 marks gone. Let's go to part number 2. Part 2, we are going to use a different case study that refers to PlayStation 5. Some of you with children will know. Some of you who are still children yourself by heart, you will definitely know about PlayStation and PlayStation 5. Go to that website. That's where you'll find the information to complete this particular case study, this particular part 2, as well as look at those 2 videos that I have provided you links with. Then answer the questions, which question 3, 4, and 5 would be A, to say question 3, sorry, which referral or identify the 2 bases of segmentation. Segmentation, I think we'll do in chapter, let me just grab my manual. Segmentation we'll do in chapter, where's your manual when you need it? Segmentation we'll do in chapter 5. Segmentation, targeting, and positioning we'll do in chapter 5. And in other words, you can work ahead if you want to, but only once we've completed chapter 5 you'll be able to confidently answer question 3. 2 bases again, identify them. It means just name them. No explanation required, no description required. 3.2, explain why these segments are applicable to the commercials. Now, this is where I want you to apply it to the commercials. I want to know if you've actually watched those 2 videos here to understand and be able to identify the segments that PlayStation is targeting. 3.3, describe 3 targeting strategies. Describe. That's why it's 3 times 3. other words, you're going to name 3 targeting strategies. You're going to explain these 3 to get the 9 marks. 3.4. Select one of the targeting strategies which you think applies to PlayStation 5. And obviously motivate your answer. Right. Question 4. There are a number of stages in the product life cycle. I think this is chapter 6, product decisions. Name and illustrate these stages. In other words, you're going to name the stages. You're going to explain to me what each stage is about. That's why you're getting 4 times 2. And you're getting 2 marks in addition to that for the illustration. 4.2. In which stage do you think the new PlayStation 5 find itself? You're going to identify which of these 4 stages you think they are in with the product, with the PlayStation 5 as a product, and you're going to motivate why you've chosen that stage. Straightforward again. 5, question 5, 5.1. Describe. It means this is not just naming. Describe the needs of Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the form of an illustration. In other words, you're going to illustrate to me the 5 levels of Maslow's hierarchy. Remember, 5 times 1 indicates to you that there are 5 levels. Even if we haven't done this work, you know that there are 5 levels, or you should know by just looking at the mark allocation. 5 levels in the hierarchy, name them, illustrate them, and for the illustration itself, you get 2 marks. Now you've got to identify which of these 5 levels of needs are satisfied when the customer buys himself a PlayStation 5. Can't give you the answer. It's straightforward. When we get to that particular chapter, you will understand better. Now, to finish off the briefing on your assignment, you'll see that for your referencing and your bibliography, which basically consists of 5 different marks. There we go, 5. I've encircled it with my cursor. I want you to ensure that at least your referencing is done in the text itself. Remember, when you're using something, immediately reference it and then include it in your bibliography or your referencing list. I want you to at least, for this assignment, include 1 internet source, 1 additional textbook to the one that you are using and that has been prescribed, and 1 additional academic journal article. Okay, you'll all understand this once you get there, but this means I don't want you to just answer the questions by going back to your textbook. I want you to additionally do some research and find additional resources to the textbook that we have prescribed that supports your answers in these questions. Most, if not all, your Microsoft products have a spelling and grammar check. So I'm not too concerned about that, but the all-over structure and layout of the assignment is also important to me. We are preparing you to prepare a presentation and a document in future when you are employed. And that's why I want you to ensure that there's a proper structure and order. Make sure, firstly, that you have an index that says question 1, 1.1, and you state the question, and you name the page on which you'll find it. Question 1.2, that's the question. You'll find it answer on page so and so. That's in your index. That's the starting point. That gives structure to the whole assignment. And then when you do the question itself, when you answer question 1, name or number the question as it is in the assignment. 1.1, the question. Explain the 5 steps for me, or explain whatever the question is, and then answer. Leave gaps, people, between your questions. It just improves the impression, the first impression that the marker gets when he receives or she receives the assignment. I've often found assignments that are just one muddle of, I don't know where question 1.1 ends and where question 1.2 starts. So make sure that regardless if you don't know when the assignment when the lecturer is going to mark your paper, early in the morning or late in the evening, if they're in a good mood or a bad mood, do not play a guessing game here and ensure that you rather provide them with sufficient gaps between the questions. So it provides structure. It also means that you know where the question finishes and that you have given all the information that you think is appropriate, and now you're moving on to the next one. It's just basic writing skills. People, that is about it. I don't have anything to add at this stage. Please watch this video. I'm going to upload it this evening. This is Monday evening. And when you are done with that, we can discuss the assignment based on the questions that you have when we meet again on Wednesday. That will be Wednesday, the 14th of April. Thanks very much. Have a nice evening.